Hey, Sarah. Hope you're having a great day. So I've got your chart here, and there's a lot of really good stuff, particularly connected to feeling more liberated on a heart level. But okay, so basically why I say that is because your sun sign, which is in Scorpio, which is next to the planet Pluto, the planet of death, rebirth, alchemy, and transformation, which also on the other side of your sun sign, you've got Mercury in Scorpio as well, and also Saturn, all in this conjunction, 4 planets next to each other in the sign of Scorpio, are in your ninth house, which is the house of higher wisdom and knowledge and expansion of the mind, and also adventure and travel. There's a lot of energies that are constantly working you and pushing you into big transformation cycles that are going to give you access to a lot of higher insight and wisdom. And it also forms a harmonious aspect to your natal Jupiter, which is next to your moon and Neptune. So it shows that you are connected on a multidimensional level intuitively to higher guidance, on top of the fact that you're almost like in a teacher training, and the ability to verbalize the things that you're learning on this life path. So there's a lot of important information that you have to share with humanity. And so if you don't feel ready, or you feel something is holding you back, it's because the Scorpio part, the Pluto part, and 4 planets in Scorpio, it goes through different developmental phases. So it's almost like you just have to trust and embrace the mystery, and just know that these energies are helping you to reach a very, very deep and profound level. And it has a lot to do with what you're here to communicate and what your intuition knows to be true. And so there are a lot of things coming in that you are accessing. And basically, because your moon next to Neptune, which is also next to Jupiter, but the Jupiter part's in the 12th house, which is the house of Neptune, which connects to the unseen realms and the multidimensional. So, okay, it's kind of hard to articulate. So the moon is next to Neptune, and that's in the 11th house. And the 11th house that your moon and Neptune is in is the house of community and being, social, and like what you have to offer people when you are a social being. Like, what is your identity as a social being? Is that you are a powerful spiritual guide and teacher, right? So all the things that I said are something that you can actually share, and you have a lot of cosmic support to share with groups and community and on social media. So there's a lot about being willing to you know share who you are and trust your internal guidance, which is profound. And the fact that Mars isn't very far away from Jupiter, Moon, and Neptune, and it's in the 12th house, it shows that you're very much a gateway opener, and you're accessing dimensions beyond the physical plane. It might make you feel a little bit disorientated at times, because it's not something that a lot of people carry. But right now you're being prepared for taking your knowledge and wisdom and making it more accessible. You also have Venus, the planet of love and harmony, next to the planet Uranus, which has to do with sovereignty, independence, and connecting to your higher mind. And it also represents the shock and upheavals that lead to great awakening. And with Venus next to Uranus, it also shows that on a heart level, you hold universal truths, and you're connected to cosmic and natural law because of the other planets in their positions as well. Like, you are such a profoundly powerful person. I mean, your personal planets are linked to all the initiatory planets that help us to shift from old paradigm to new paradigm. And you hold a very, very powerful embodiment to assist humanity. So seeking out careers where you can design it yourself and create it yourself on your own terms is incredibly important. And when you do that, it transfers that to the collective and helps others to stand in their truth and authenticity. You're just very much a spiritual warrior, and you're very much a receiver of divine truth, and you're here to be a communicator and teacher of that. As you do that, you help to liberate humanity. And all the aspects in your chart are incredibly profound. So your progressed aspects that are unique to you are in positions to, you know, actually be more seen and be more communicative. It might be something you write, it might be a blog, it might be services that you provide, but it's really important that you trust yourself. Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn, which are transiting your 12th house and beginning to move into the first house, is going to bring a lot more of this to light. Right now, it's next to your progressed Venus. So in your natal chart, the Venus is in your 10th house of career and life path, next to Uranus, which is all about, you know, being independent and autonomous in what you are here to do on a career level, with all this divine embodiment of your higher mind and ability to teach that and transfer that information to others. You know, is going through like an upgrade. So you're going through a big transition right now. The natal Mercury, which is next to your sun sign, Pluto, and Saturn in the sign of Scorpio, has progressed to where your natal Neptune and Moon are, which means that you can communicate things that might have been hard to communicate before. Your midheaven, which represents life path and life goals, is next to Mercury and has progressed to where the Moon and Neptune are as well. So the natal chart doesn't go away, but the progressions, which are unique to you, which are different than transits, which are all about the different developmental phases you're going through and where you are currently, is allowing you to access some of this information, and it just continues to supply you with information to share and teach others. With your sun sign progressed to where Uranus and Venus are, so basically your sun sign has progressed from Scorpio and now it's in Sagittarius, where Venus and Uranus is helping you to make some very important changes so that you can play the role that you're here to play. So a lot of it's going to increase as far as synchronicities and you being nudged into the direction of being more seen as Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn enter your first house. Saturn is already there, so you might feel something is kind of holding you back, but the rest of the transits are getting closer to your progressed Mars, which is now in your first house. Your natal Mars is in the 12th house. So basically what that means is a lot of the stuff that you're aware of on a multidimensional level is becoming more embodied, and there's going to be more ability for you to put this in accessible form to make available to others. You pretty much have a flawless chart, so there's nothing negative to share at all, actually. And if it was negative, you know, negative is just important as positive, because we are here to integrate polarity and understand the blessing of both, you know, the positive and the negative. And the negative just acts as a catalyst for our greater growth. So there's a lot more of you that's going to be more available to the world, but there's a bit of an incubation period right now. So if you feel like things are a bit shut down and not very active, that's going to change. You have very strong karma in a positive sense. You didn't come in with a lot of karmic missteps or things that you weren't able to do in previous lifetimes. It seems like you're coming in from the future or some higher dimension, because it's very hard to embody what you embody. But that can also be why it's so hard to be in this world. It's because you're already like way ahead of the game. And you are an absolute blessing to humanity and a powerful, powerful teacher and leader. And so these universal forces are helping you to play this role. But, you know, there's times where we need to, you know, kind of retreat and not be very active on a social level. And so the transits and some of your progressions are kind of, you know, putting you in sort of the multidimensional fields of energy that are going to become more and more grounded in the physical. So you're opening the gateways between this 3D program and the rest of ourselves. And what you're able to do is transmit these frequencies and codes to others to help them to remove the limitations and, you know, manipulations that are, you know, potentially, you know, enslaving us. It's like you're not incarnating on the human wheel in the way that others are, because you came in a very advanced soul. You're definitely like a star seed, but, you know, there's all sorts of targeting going on to discourage star seeds and powerful light warriors. And you just have to be aware that that's there and not to take it personally and not to overly identify with it, because you're a freaking powerhouse. I mean, your divine connection with source is huge. So you have to see yourself as a teacher and a liberator of humanity, but be very patient with yourself, because there's things that are helping to prepare you to, play a role that might not really fully be in your comfort level, but it's something that you kind of agreed to. And it might be something that others don't fully understand, but you are kind of planting seeds and helping to initiate growth periods for people to help bring them up to speed. So there's nothing but like really positive things. Your ascendant, which is in Capricorn, right on the cusp of Capricorn and Aquarius, which represent your outer personality, seems like, it's just sometimes you might feel like you're losing yourself, or, but your soul energy has your back because these agreements are so strong. So where you might feel like you're not able to be effective, there's sort of a inevitability and a greater destiny that will ensure that you achieve your goals and your soul mission. But, sometimes it's just not fully in the conscious mind, or it's not fully manifested, but all these energies are working on you because you're a part of them to, I don't know, maybe feel more comfortable in the leadership position that you carry. And it's not like old paradigm type leadership. Actually, you hold the energy of the new paradigm. So you came in way ahead of the game, not, wanting to talk about timelines as linear, but the access that you have to higher dimensions that you're able to anchor and bring in through creativity, through your words, through anything that you feel necessary to express, is very important that you take seriously, and it's very important that you trust what's coming through. And you don't allow anybody else's projections or lack of understanding of you to deter you. You got to almost like dance like nobody's looking. So there are very strong agreements that sometimes might feel like a lot of pressure, but it all comes so natural to you. So anyway, going back to the rising sign, or the ascendant, which is right on the cusp of Capricorn and Aquarius, where your natal rising sign is, has moved or progressed into the position of Pisces. And it's actually next to the transiting Neptune. So progressions are unique to you. Transits have to do with what we're all experiencing, but we all experience them differently, depending on where they affect our charts. So your rising sign in Pisces is next to the transiting Neptune. So your sensitivity levels might be way increased. Your empathicness might be much more than, what you're used to. And so it's very easy for you to maybe like take on a lot and feel almost more than you can handle. But you have to remember that you're tapping into the collective consciousness, and there needs to be a sort of a understanding of the difference between the things that you're feeling that are causing, maybe grief or confusion, and recognizing that that's not your energy. All the things that you might be overly sensitized to is just giving you connection with it, because in being able to connect to it, you're able to access the solution and antidote. So sometimes we got to feel it to heal it. So if you are like not sure what's coming from you and what's coming from others, if it begins to bring you down, it's not yours. So, but in feeling it and experiencing it, you can begin to access all these other energies that hold the solution. So allow it to, be a catalyst, but also give yourself permission to have strong boundaries. I'm really blown away by your chart. I think I've shared that with you before. And the most important thing to know is you have major internal guidance within you. You already are functioning in, ascension energies, which means that you carry the codes to pass on to others. But there is going to be a lot more that you might feel within yourself that encourages you to play more of a teacher role, maybe as a writer, somebody who, just is able to, create your own sort of career path, or, focus on things to help you to, to deliver these messages. But, if you don't feel like the time is ripe, the time is going to become riper as you know, things shift and change. You will get the downloads and the internal guidance to help you to understand what your next step is. But as long as you're not sure about it, be very careful of getting kind of lost in the confusion that others are holding, because you know how to embrace the mystery. And it's almost like you can sail a boat blindfolded, because you can navigate based on your inner knowingness and the heart frequency you hold that is in the vibration of universal love, and also what your mind is guiding you to be aware of and understand, so that you can connect all those dots and share messages that will help to advance humanity. So leadership roles are very lonely. So, you know, don't let maybe a feeling of isolation or disconnect from others confuse you. Just make sure that you encourage yourself to initiate projects, initiate creative writing, or, you know, things that you feel need to come through, and not worry about who accepts it, who doesn't. You're just really holding the antidote, and you're a powerful, powerful teacher, no doubt. So I know you had that email, and it's sort of cracking me up because there's nothing but good things to share. And believe me, I'm not holding back. I would tell you if something was off. But I'm going to look at your standalone progress chart, because it shows, you know, even though I first looked at it, your progressions, your progress chart in relation to the natal chart. Now I'm just looking at it by itself to see. So Saturn's making a difficult aspect to Mars right now in your progress chart. So you might feel something's holding you back. You might feel like something is limiting your expression of power, and it's coming from forces that aren't within you, but it has to do with the outer control agendas. But it's also where people have bought into those agendas. So you might feel very stifled by where people are still stuck. And at times you might feel like you have to run a lot of anger and aggression to override a potential block. And that's good, because it keeps a block from remaining. But you need as many outlets as you possibly can find to channel that energy in a constructive way. So like yoga, qigong, and like dance and movement is going to be really helpful, because you're transmuting a lot of how these control agendas have been trying to harness, you know, sexual energies of like goddesses like you. And when I say goddesses, I'm not talking about, you know, sort of the distorted version of what that means. I'm talking about somebody who is connected to cosmic and natural law and is here to change the paradigm. So there are outer forces that are going to want to discourage you, cause insecurity, and make you feel blocked. But remember, it's because you move so much quicker than, you know, humanity, that, you know, sometimes just the block in people are where you're going to experience it the most. There might be something from your childhood that is, you know, preventing you from feeling more empowered, you know, coming from an outer authority. But see, this thing is with Saturn is that its domain has to do with conditioning coming from outer authority. So anywhere you feel a block is where an outer authority has wanted to trick you into thinking less of yourself, and where that also might hold you back. So if you run into people or partners or friends that represent that control force, you might find yourself wanting to retaliate or get really angry. And that's okay, as long as, you know, you can find peace with it, and do it with as much love and compassion as possible. But in your standalone progress chart, you have Mercury next to Neptune in your 10th house of career and life path, and it's right on your midheaven. And so you are, and I mentioned that a little bit as far as how they're interacting, your progressed planets with your natal chart. And so you're like a director of the collective unconscious, or the collective consciousness, and where it's somewhat conscious, but you are very awakened to your multidimensional self. And so what you verbalize and what you speak on that supports the visions and dreams and prayers that you hold are more capable of manifesting than you realize. And you're very much a blessing to humanity, and you hold so much love and heart for friends and community. And your greater destiny is to experience more love and divine relationships, soulmates. Even a twin flame looks like it's going to come along. but your destiny is to experience a lot of love and reward for coming in and being willing to be on this mission. So anything that feels frustrating, just remember, ask yourself, what are you allowing yourself to believe in about yourself that creates insecurity or self-doubt? And just remember, those energies aren't yours. You know exactly who you are and what you're here to do. So be very careful of anything that tries to take that away from you, and just keep yourself focused on the goal, trust yourself, and speak your truth, and find outlets to express your truth. And just know that you have a lot of incredible karma, and that you're really going to have a lot of breakthroughs that help you to love yourself more and appreciate yourself more, and attract people that will honor you and give you, love in return and gratitude for the role that you're playing. You're absolutely a free spirit, and a very sovereign soul. And the more you can identify with that on an ego level, those control forces that have tried to hook into you the volume of that, if it ends up being like a negative voice in your head, that will begin to decrease as you really, trust yourself more, and that you're actually very free. So it just seems like your self-esteem has been very targeted, and people have been threatened by your power. And so you might believe in some of those projections, and that's what you need to work on the most, is to not allow that to happen. And if you need to run that extra kundalini or fire that might manifest as rage or anger, that you work with the physical body to release that, and work on a way to handle that so that you feel more balanced. But you're balanced beyond the ego energies. You're very balanced, and your ego energy is very, very connected to your sovereign self. There's no separation, and your intuition is a part of that, and you know how to navigate all of this. But when you fall into a belief system about yourself that undermines you, or a projection comes in, it just interferes, and it can just wreak a lot of havoc. And so it's all about recognizing that and breathing through it, not taking it too personally, and doing all you can to design and create your own life path, career path, and expression, and be the designer of your, reality. And you have nothing but a great ability to do that. So it looks like you're really here to be an autonomous and independent person on a career level, and design your own career that you create. And so anybody who says, oh, you can't do that, or, oh, that's not practical, that's also a part of what you need to be careful of, because there is something that is trying to hold you back and is targeting your sense of identity. And a lot of it channels through people that aren't very awake and aware. And just know that you don't have to believe in it. Your true foundation is that you're sovereign, and you're absolutely like embodied in the divine, and you are opening gateways, helping to usher souls into the new paradigm, and you're made of it. You don't have to seek it. You don't have to doubt it. But when you run into that feeling, that is the stuff to work on, and work on clearing. Because you've cleared any, because you have clear karmic energy, and your soul energy doesn't have any real interferences, your internal guidance will be your best friend. What other people project upon you is not what you want to pay too much attention to. So radically trust yourself, and know that, you're doing amazing, and it's going to be awesome. Just keep going. And, if you want to have like a verbal conversation in the future, maybe with a small donation, we can talk, especially if any questions arise. But all I can say is, you've got it all. And there's a lot of dark forces that don't want you to acknowledge that, or to follow your own guidance, or to pay attention to the downloads coming in. But it's like nothing can stop them from coming in. The thing is, can you take the initiative and take on a leadership role, and not allow other people's fear of your power to stop you in your tracks? And the thing is, it's a blessing for them when you take the stand to move beyond it, because they're the lost child. They're the frightened one that is only projecting that on you because they're afraid of the growth period that you're offering. And that growth period is going to help them to become a better person. But a lot of people are holding on to programmings for dear life. And so they're attaching to something that's not good for them. And it's like a form of addiction, right? So they're going to want to shoot the messenger and project onto you that something's, you know, wrong with you, when it's absolutely the opposite. And it's not that something's wrong with them. It's just they haven't stepped into the fullness of what is available. And so, you know, there's a lot of people that don't know how to do that naturally and need the teachers and need the guidance. But very often, the dismissal of that and the anger towards that gets in the space of people that are really here to help and assist. And they might project on you all sorts of things that aren't true. But, you know, you have to know that you're here to liberate people and help them to activate and awaken. And no matter what projection they throw, don't ever let that become a part of your own projection against yourself. Don't allow other people's misunderstanding of you to become something that you overly identify with, to the point where you get too shut down, I guess is what I meant. Okay, so I hope this was helpful, and sending much love. Okay, bye.